you know. The Spirit just told me that. He said, this is how I do it. And you know, just, and yeah, that's what it feels like. Yeah.
I like that you bring this sort of an almost physical impact into the way you're talking about writing, and I feel like that was possibly one of the vague senses that made me want to pair you two together. And I couldn't think of any other musicians or artists who could have worked together. You know, like with either of you, you just felt perfect together, and I think it was because I can't think of a lot of artists that have that level of emotional impact and energy. I think that together. When you mentioned poetry, did the poems come first? Like, were you a poet before you were a songwriter?
Oh yeah, before I did anything, you know, I would write poems. Even as a boy, I couldn't afford to buy my mom gifts, of course, right? So I'd be like, yo, I remember I'm gonna write a poem, you know, and I would just write, even if they were corny, I would just write and I'd give them to my mom. I don't know, she would probably throw them away. Oh, thank you. And, you know what I mean? And but her doing, me knowing that she did that, I was like, I'm gonna write one where she's gonna keep it. She's gonna keep it, you know what I mean? And I think that was my motivation to write. And then dance somehow took over. I don't know. I think.
Did you just say that your mother threw your poetry away?
I mean, I don't know if she threw it away purposefully, but you know, it definitely slipped out of her hand and into a trash can. I don't know. It was years ago. You know, it's not like I remember every detail of.
But it's driven you forward.
Right.
Perhaps out of spite.
Yeah. Well, you know, my mom's Nigerian, and they're very like. They know what they want to do, and they know what they want you to do. So it's like, you know, anything that's derailing you from their vision of what you want to be, it's just like, you know, it's cool, but get back to your studies, or you know, get back to this, you know, this work that I've given you, you know. So it's not her fault. That's just the way she was raised, you know. So it's just I'm like, all right, my mom loves me. She came to my show. She was here earlier, so she shows her support in that way.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It doesn't matter if she throws away poems, you know.
And speaking of studies, you went to University of the Arts.
Yes.
And you studied ballet?
Yes, I did. For 4 years, I studied ballet. I was much skinnier than I am now. And
Really, you're pretty skinny.
oh, thank you. Wow. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I went to yours as well. I now I'm wishing that I took a few dance classes.
Yeah, I can teach you. There's never too late. Easy.
Okay.
Let's go.
After change, have a leotard. Can you talk about the relationship between movement and sound in your performance and how they're relating to each other?
Yeah, definitely. So I always, I've been thinking, and recently it's like for 4 years now, I've been thinking, wow, dance is removed from music now, even in the commercial world, and even in school settings, you know, even like at my school, it was just music majors, dance majors, acting majors, you know, we never really got a chance to collab, really. And I always had that, I'm like, well, you know, what's going on? You know, because we had Prince, we had Michael Jackson, James Brown, we had all these people that, you know, through even Celine Dion, the two-step, you know what I mean? So it's like we have all these people that are implementing dance in our previous years, but it's like, where is it now? And I told myself, I said, if I ever make music, I would want to dance to my own music. And I'm a hip-hop head, you know, and I love dancing to hip-hop music. And I learned this new style of dance called ballet, and I'm like, yo, I can dance my balletic movements to these hip-hop beats. And I think that idea always stuck with me. And then when I started making music, you know, it was just an easy transition, you know, because I was already dancing to these similar beats that I make music to, you know. So I don't know.
There was an interview I read that you referred to soul movement.
Oh yeah. Because I make soul music, and then you know my dance is definitely soul movement. You know what I mean? Because they come from the same place, and I think that is just a realignment. You know what I mean? And that connection of self, really. You know, it's like you have to move when you hear music. You have to move, even if it's your mouth opening or your head nodding. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to just bring it back together. So you know, soul movement Yeah, you know what I mean? Soul movement. And everybody in here has soul movement. You just have to really just tap into it, really. You know? You know what I'm saying?
I like this notion of movement that's not even necessarily bound to what we would perceive as visible movement. You know, it could be.
That's how Minnesotans dance usually.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah. May I say this quickly, and then I'll be quiet. You know, when we're born, right? One of my acting teachers, Ozzie Jones is his name. He was talking to us, and here's my good friend Sanchel. He was saying, he was like, you too are dancers. He was like, and that's what actors strive to be, right? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he was like, you know, at birth, you before you make any noise or before you can even communicate, you know, you're moving in the belly. Nobody can hear you. You're moving in the belly, and that is dance. You know what I mean? So a lot of times when people ask me, "Oh, Kingsley, can you teach me dance?" They're like, "But I can't really move." And I'm like, "What?" I'm like, you can move. Anybody can move. You know what I mean? That movement is not these set, you know what I mean, steps that have to be perfect. You know what I mean? Movement is soul movement. Like, you know, what you have to say. You know, if you're not on beat, you own that. You don't run away from that. You know what I mean? That's silly. You know, that's it. Yeah.
We need to return to prenatal dance.
Yeah.
I can see some classes popping up.
That's handy. So, shifting to you, you have recently released a new album, and it's called "Learning How to Stay." And I was wondering if you could tell us about the title a bit and some of the ideas that went into it.
Yeah. Well, the reason we're here is because at the very first time I met him, he's like, "Do you have any experience with the Quaker faith?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, actually. I was raised evangelical long ago, and I had a religious crisis. And then during college, I did a freaking internet test of what religion should you be. Seriously. And it said liberal Quaker. And I was like, what the heck is that? And I Googled it, and I read about it, and it sounded awesome. And then I realized there was 2 blocks from my school. And I was like, well, I gotta check it out. And I really like it. And we never wake up on Sundays right now, but I went for many years, and I will go back someday. But the idea of like being present and still, and like not running away from situations, even painful ones like that disability rights song, I Wait, is like, you know, being present even if life is hard. So I was kind of struggling to find a name for this album originally, because the sounds, you'll hear it, I mean, you heard it, but with the full band especially, there's so many different like genres kind of represented in here that it's not an album that, I mean, it feels cohesive to me because of the way we place the songs, but if you didn't know there was a theme, you wouldn't necessarily pick it out until I started thinking about the words of all the songs, and I was like, they're all pretty much about just being in the present moment. And so I texted the band a bunch of ideas, and we're texting back and forth. I'm in Georgia, and they're in Minnesota, and so on the road. And I was like, what about learning how to stay? And they're all like, yeah, that was pretty good, and I think that fits. And then that night, I was reading a book by Pema Chodron, the Buddhist nun or whatever, and I opened it, like I literally opened it up, and the page to the chapter the chapter name I was starting was Learning to Stay, and I was like, well, that's cool, okay, I think we'll name the album that. And so then it kind of became a finalized deal at that point. But I do think that that's the overarching theme. If you had to think about the album as a piece of work, that's what it would say.
Kimia?
Yes, thank you both for your music this evening. I was wondering, are there particular rituals that you have before you go out to perform, and rituals that you do once you've finished your performance for the evening that you do consistently, or set of rituals to support your performance practice?
Well, for me, a lot of times it's eating beef jerky in the bathroom, because I am realizing like, oh, I haven't eaten yet, because I'm very last minute. But then I put on makeup and I try. But the real like spiritual ritual is right before I start. I try to remember that it's really not about me. It's like putting energy out to the audience, right? And so sometimes that is like a little prayer. Sometimes it's just like remember what the point of this is, basically. Sometimes it's the second song. I forgot to do it in the first song, right? But there is a point of like the art part. We get so wrapped up in like a lot of other things that you kind of forget the whole reason that you're there really isn't about you at all, actually. It's about putting an energy from somewhere else out into the audience, and that's what, and then I really try to connect to the lyrics of every song. Because if you're in the present moment, I think people can feel that, you know what I mean? And so those are the things. And then afterwards, I usually have a dark beer and talk to people, and that's my ritual. What about you, Kingsley?
It's so cool. I usually wake up when I want to. When I have a show day, I don't do anything other than that show. Yeah.
Well, not till you start touring a lot, and then
Oh yeah.
you'll drive 5 hours.
Yeah, I'm lucky I get to stay in Philly now when it starts. It's really cool. So I wake up and I usually pray, and then I make a cup of tea, drink that tea, and then I work out. I don't eat. I haven't eaten. I don't eat all day.
Oh, man.
I know I'm crazy. I know,
You
but
want some beef jerky? Just kidding. I'm joking.
oh,
It's okay.
all right. Oh, okay, all right. So many emotions. I was like, right. Yeah, and I don't eat, so I'm empty right now. I like to feel empty, so I can be filled with something. I don't know. It's just like it sounds corny, but I don't know. It feels. I like to be exhausted when I'm done, and so I don't. That's why I don't eat, But I'm not like, I don't have a disorder, So don't be worried about me, And no jokes to anybody who does, but it's just something I've always done, even as a dancer. And then after that, I come to the theater, and then I usually go with the songs in my head. I'm usually playing the music in my head, and then I stop. I'll stretch, talk to the band, and then I'll pray with them if they feel like it, and then that's it. Yeah.
What do you do at the end?
Oh, the end.
You eat something?
Yeah. I usually don't go out to eat. I usually go home. I catch a train by myself, and I go even at 1 a.m., 3 a.m. I catch a train by myself, and I'm a loner on the low, but it's okay. And I go home and I cook a meal. No matter how long it takes, I just cook the meal. Sit down. I usually watch cartoons. I'm a cartoon. I don't watch any real shows. I watch all cartoons, and then.
It's a real show.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
The medium of cartoons.
And then I usually smoke. I smoke. I don't know if y'all smoke. And then I go to sleep. It's boring, right?
Thank you.
Yeah.
There's a couple of questions out there. Yeah? Which one?
Oh, right in front. You right there.
Kind of what on that question, I noticed while you're performing that you kiss your violin.
Yes.
Yeah.
What?
You kiss your foot off.
No way.
Yes, sorry.
Are
I
you
noticed
joking?
after you finish the song, you kiss your violin.
No way.
Yes.
Did you notice that?
Did you kiss your violin?
I don't think so. Maybe. I guess I did.
Not that there was any tell.
I mean, it's okay. More than once.
Yes.
After
Yeah.
Are you joking me?
Was it constant? Was it almost upsetting?
No, I don't know. Okay, well, somebody needs to someday get footage of that because I actually really do not know it. I mean, I like my violin a lot, but that's intense. Whoa. Okay, well, thank you for letting me know.
Maybe it was like a superstition or something like that.
No, sincerely do not know what you're talking about. But I'm not going to put it past me. I just don't know.
I know. I saw
My
it too.
brain just exploded. Okay.
Maybe you should start.
Maybe